This was my last video in case you missed it.
We can take it out of the truck.
It's our property.
Do you need pictures of it?
I'm sorry?
It's our property.
Do you need pictures of it?
Take it out of the truck.
It's our property.
Yeah, do you need pictures
Do you want to argue about this?
Stop resisting.
Stop what? I'm resisting
Stop
what?
resisting.
Resisting what?
And you probably did miss it because it was age restricted by YouTube within just a couple of hours. And for what I believe is a ridiculous reason. That did mostly kill the video, but it had already amassed like 200,000 views in just a couple of hours. Still, that was enough to once again get one of my videos documenting police misconduct on the local news where it occurred.
This afternoon, the city of Meridian investigating a use of force incident involving a Meridian police officer.
Now here's some of the video posted to YouTube of the arrest of 22-year-old Samson Allen.
Well, the police department responded and they gave a statement to the local news. And apparently this cop has already left this department, but it's not over, and I'll tell you why. All right, let's go through the basic facts and the footage itself that you didn't get to see the first time. And I believe that it was both demonetized and age restricted because I showed the clip of the actual dirt bike wreck. And the age restriction notification said that the video was promoting harmful conduct. And of course, clearly the video was not promoting people to go attempt wheelies on dirt bikes and wreck their dirt bikes. In any event, they did what they did, but maybe it's for the best because I learned some additional information. And I also can answer some questions that I saw that people have that maybe weren't clear in the initial video. So let's go through the facts, then I'll tell you what's happening now. This footage is from Meridian, Idaho. This is in Ada County, Idaho, and this is the same county as the video I fairly recently did about the 70-year-old guy who got arrested by the cops for just daring to look into one of their vehicles at the police station. When Mick Hakela appeared just for a matter of seconds through the window of one of the police cars that Ada County taxpayers pay for in a public parking lot in broad daylight, he was accosted, attacked, and manhandled by police officers and then handcuffed, arrested, humiliated, and jailed. Though they charged him with resisting officers, the Idaho judge presiding over his case dismissed it, concluding that there was no way the prosecution could prove that Hakela had committed any crime. The court ruled that the officers had no lawful basis to stop, detain, or seize Hakela, much less manhandle, arrest, or jail him. He filed a lawsuit. Now, not only do they have to pay, but they have to make a public statement and retrain their officers. Keep that in mind as you watch this. It all began with this guy's 16-year-old son getting in a wreck on his dirt bike. He was pretty badly injured. The EMS personnel had to come in and get him and provide medical treatment. And in the process of that happening, somebody had rolled the dirt bike several houses down and just leaned it up against a tree in some random person's front yard. Now, some of the people arguing on the side of the police officer here are saying that this is like a hit and run situation where there was an accident scene and the cops arrive and somebody's trying to remove a vehicle. But this isn't that sort of a situation, and here's why. The wreck itself happened several hours earlier. The kid was seriously injured. The people on the scene cleared the way for the medical personnel. Now, one of the people who lives on the street removed the bike to like her front yard. She has nothing to do with the family. That's where several hours later, the brothers go to pick the bike up. And if you look at the picture from the actual scene, you'll see that not only are medical personnel there, but the police are there. Any investigation that they wanted to do at the scene, presumably they did at the scene. The 16-year-old was taken to the hospital. His 3 brothers were told where the dirt bike was, and they went to pick it up. The medical scene is gone. They're just retrieving their brother's bike. And it's not easy to get it in the back of the pickup truck, so they sort of back up to the incline of the driveway, and it takes the 3 of them to get this thing into the back of the truck. It wasn't easy. As they're loading it and trying to figure out how to strap it down, a police officer shows up.
What do you mean it's not going to work?
We can take it out of the truck.
It's our property. Do you need pictures of it?
I'm sorry?
It's our property. Do you need pictures of it?
We got a truck.
It's our property. Yeah, do you need pictures?
Do you want to argue about this?
Dude, what do you want? Yeah, what's
Take the bike out of the truck.
Why?
It's part of my investigation.
Do you need pictures of it? Because you can stand up and take pictures here. I'm not unloading and reloading.
We got a witness.
Just walk around, dude. Don't gonna leave like that.
Albert Chambers.
Are we being detained?
You're about to be.
Okay, Samson, you can drive away now.
Okay, I'll have to sit back.
What do you want? What the hell is your problem, dude?
Stop!
What the hell is the matter?
Stop!
Hey, what's the
I'm
problem,
not doing
dude?
anything.
Put your hand behind your back now.
My hand is
Hold
behind
behind.
my back, dude. What the is the matter with you?
Stop.
Whoa.
Stop what?
Put your
Stop what?
Stop
Stop
resisting.
what? I'm not resisting.
Stop
what?
resisting.
Resisting what?
This is
Stop
fine.
resisting.
I'm not resisting.
Get away
we were
and get
being-
back
hey,
now.
You said
Get
we
back.
were being detained. That's
Get
what the
over
hell's the
there.
matter
Both
with
of you, get back.
Hey, don't
Touch me, dude.
Don't.
Get away from me right
Back
now. You
up.
have no legal reason to touch me.
What the
Back
hell's the
up.
matter with you?
Right now. Get out of here right now. Get out of here right now.
For those of you who are wondering who the guy was in the neon shirt, that is just a random Karen neighbor who I guess saw what was happening and wanted to inject himself into the situation. Now, the kid filming here is like 12 years old. And this guy is aggressively confronting this 12-year-old who just saw what's happening to his older brother, and he wants to film it, which he is entitled to do. But as you'll see here, filming the police is seen as some sort of safety threat to the officer. So the 12-year-old filming is not allowed to be anywhere near what's happening to film it, but the male Karen is allowed to stand right next to the officer.
Film him over here. Let him do his job.
He even provided a statement for the police report after the fact, and I have that here. Heard loud noise outside, saw a young man in a cowboy hat and two other young under 25 trying to load a dirt bike in the back of a 1990s green Chevy pickup. An officer pulled up and explained that they can't take the bike. One of the young men started yelling and refusing the officer's orders, and then it seemed like he refused to comply with putting his hands on truck and started to what I could see resist and was taken down and handcuffed. The young cowboy kid made verbal threats to me when I told him to go back up, but did calm down and listen to me and go across the street and stand on the sidewalk.
I swear.
don't.
I swear. Get out of here.
This guy hits
West of the traffic.
You were the one
not
that laid
gonna hit
hands
you.
first. I'm not gonna
Roll
hit
over on
you.
your stomach now.
I'm not gonna hit you.
On your stomach.
If you'll let me roll, I will, dude. What the hell? Holy dude.
Give me your hand.
I can't give
Now.
you my hand because you're holding my face.
Just give him your hand.
Dude, I can't.
Get back now.
I'm trying.
Get away from your car.
Get back now.
Holding my hand. I can't do anything with it.
I'm away. I'm away, man. I'm away.
Step back farther now.
Back up. Both of you guys, go over here. You film him from over here. Let him do his job.
He's not doing his job properly, okay?
Hey, chillax, man.
He's not doing his job properly whatsoever.
Now, I didn't mention this before, but take a look at this scene. You have Officer Chambers pointing his taser at teenagers who are trying to film him, but now they have to film him from a distance because he's pointing a taser at him. Then you have the neighbor male Karen standing there assisting in this. He is allowed to stand there. And as you see walk into the footage right now, you see a female police officer. So there is an additional officer on the scene. And do we see Officer Chambers lowering his taser that he's aiming at the teenagers? He keeps it aimed at the teenagers, even though there's this other officer right there, not aiming her taser at anybody, not freaking out, not losing her temper. He's still so angry that he's aiming his taser at these kids.
Get on the sidewalk. Back up, dude. You
All
don't want to go to
all
jail.
of you back up, please.
I have no legal reason to go to jail.
Get on the sidewalk. Get on the sidewalk. Back up
For what's the reason?
to get out of his way.
I'm not.
He's
I'm
only
20 feet away from
No
him.
reason. Did nothing.
This is Officer Bradley Chambers of the Meridian, Idaho Police Department, and this is his police report. This is what he says happened. I responded to an injury accident. Prior to my arrival on scene, the involved dirt bike had been taken from the scene and moved to a front yard. I made contact with 3 male subjects, Samson, Gannon, and Jax, who had loaded the dirt bike into a pickup truck. This is what he says. I told Samson, who was standing in the back of the truck next to the bike, I needed it out of the truck as it was part of my investigation. Sampson and Gannon refused to remove the bike and argued with me about why. For the most part, that appears to be correct. But look, these kids were not under arrest. They even asked if they were being detained, and were told they were not, at least not yet. After going through all the trouble of getting this thing loaded up, they didn't want to unload it if they didn't have to. So they offered every opportunity for him to examine and photograph the bike. He goes around to the back of the truck, and he appears to be doing that.
Do you need pictures of it?
You got a truck.
That's not a problem.
Yeah, do you need pictures?
Do you want to argue about this?
Dude, what do you want? Yeah, what's
Take the bike out of the truck.
Why? What?
It's part of my investigation.
Do you need pictures of it? You can stand up and take pictures here. I'm not unloading and reloading.
We're going with this.
Well, you just walk around, dude. I don't got beat like that.
Albert Chambers.
Are we being detained?
You're about to be.
Okay, Samson, you can drive home. Drive away now.
After several requests and when they began to tamper with the bike, I told them to step back from the truck so I could secure the scene for our investigation. Sampson did not comply and obstructed my investigation. That's what he wrote, but what really happened? We see him behind the truck, having every opportunity to perform his investigation, but he's doing nothing. He just stands there, and he stands there while these two boys are trying to get this dirt bike situated. They're trying to stop, I believe, an oil leak and get it strapped down so that they can bring it home, which is only like a mile away. And then that's when you see Officer Chambers goes from just 0 to 11 because in his mind, apparently he's decided that the oldest kid, Sampson, he's going to arrest him. He's going to arrest him on an obstruction charge. And you can see, just like my last video, see how quickly they do it. It's not about anyone obstructing an investigation. It's about setting up a false arrest. It's about arresting somebody because you want to retaliate against them or they've done something to disrespect you. Here, this officer is perceiving disrespect. He doesn't like being filmed. He doesn't like being told that they don't want to unload the dirt bike. And he's going to arrest the oldest kid right here. And he does it like within seconds.
Okay, I'll have to step back.
I took control of his right hand and attempted to detain him. Despite repeated commands to stop resisting, Sampson physically resisted by tensing his body, arching his back, and pulling his arms from me. He was taken to the ground and held down. That sounds great, right? I mean, Sampson sounds like a really bad criminal. In reality, what happened, Mr. Tough Guy Baldhead Cop here, who already was a cop in California for decades, and of course, retires with all sorts of government benefits in California. Where does he move? To Idaho. And I think they love Californians in Idaho, right? So kids in Idaho get a taste of what it's like to deal with these bully cops in California. So his report reads very official, very proper, very reasonable. Despite repeated commands to stop resisting, Sampson physically resisted by tensing his body, arching his back, and pulling his arms from me. But when you watch the footage, again, these kids are not under arrest. They haven't been suspected of committing any crime. They're trying to get their injured brother's dirt bike. The cop was given the opportunity to take pictures. He clearly doesn't appear to be interested in taking pictures. What is he really interested in? Well, he's not interested in the dirt bike at all. In fact, after all this thing happened, do you think he got the dirt bike out of the truck and examined it, investigated it, took pictures of it? No. You know what he did? Not a damn thing. Some other cop took pictures of the dirt bike right where it was in the back of the truck. Because, why? It would have been a pain in the ass, a royal pain in the ass, to get that dirt bike out of the truck when you can take pictures of it right where it's sitting. This whole thing was about absolutely nothing. And on that same point, another thing that I'll point out is that I have the entire report with the supplemental reports. You see all the pictures that this officer took of the scene, of the mailbox post that was hit. Guess what he did not include pictures of in his report? He didn't include any of the pictures he supposedly wanted to take of this dirt bike. As I explained in the prior video, another officer ended up tasked with the job of taking pictures of the dirt bike. He just took pictures of the dirt bike where it was sitting in the back of the truck. He never had it unloaded because there was no reason to do so, just to take pictures of it. That's why he didn't include any photographs of the dirt bike in this report. Because if he did so, you'd see pictures of the dirt bike in the back of the truck, thus rendering this entire incident completely unnecessary. He's trying to keep up the appearance of these boys having obstructed this investigation that he wanted to do. But all he needed to do was take pictures. He is the one who chose not to do that. So what does Mr. Tough Guy, cop from California, really do? He goes over there and just within a couple of seconds, he sets up this false arrest for obstruction. But look closely at what he actually does. You know, he talks about the Samson resisting. No, go look at what Mr. Tough Guy does. He tries to face plant Samson from the very first moment.
Okay, step back.
What do you want?
He chose violence. He went up to this kid and committed violence. Look closely. This guy likes his leg sweeps. He grabs a hold of Samson very quickly, and then he sweeps his legs out from under him with the officer's right leg.
Okay, step back.
What do you want? What the hell is a parole?
And just about causes Samson to face plant into the concrete.
Okay, step back.
What do you want? What the hell is a parole?
Stop!
What the hell is the matter?
Stop!
I'm not doing anything.
Put your hand back.
And actually, this kid could have been very seriously injured. The only thing that saved him from doing a face plant into the concrete. And remember, Tough Guy Cop has his right arm already. So he couldn't catch himself with his right arm. It's only his left hand, his left arm that's hanging onto his truck that maybe saves his life from doing a faceplant into the concrete. And a lot of people do get killed that way. Cops kill a lot of people that way. I've had one client who a cop swept his feet out from under him. He went into a coma. He ultimately died. I was there when they pulled the plug. I was there with his mother when they pulled the plug. I had another client, Logan County, West Virginia. A cop leg swept a guy he had in handcuffs, did a face plant down into the asphalt, fractured his head open, and he was in a coma for an extended period of time, and he fortunately survived. And I was able to get him a settlement. But who knows what would have happened to this kid here who had his whole life ahead of him, no criminal record, law-abiding citizen, had committed no crime, wasn't even there for the dirt bike wreck that his brother had. He could have been killed or paralyzed by doing a face plant into this driveway for no reason, just because this cop chose violence first. And you can see he gets angry when Samson is able to save his own life, perhaps by hanging onto his truck with his left hand. That's when the cop gets angry and he wants the left hand also. But then as you'll see, Samson complies with that and he gives him both hands behind his back.
What's the matter with you?
Stop.
Whoa.
Stop what?
Stop
what?
Stop resisting.
Stop what? I'm not resisting.
Stop
what?
resisting.
And then when the kid's completely defenseless, the cop does it again. Because he's a violent person. He leg sweeps him again and fortunately does not take the kid headfirst into the asphalt, but it was very close. And I believe he did end up with a concussion from what this officer did. Gannon and Jax continued to interfere, and I eventually had to draw my taser to gain their compliance. This is also pretty bad, and I didn't go into this in the prior video. Look at the size difference, and he's laying on this kid with his arm wrapped around his neck. He gets more aggressive with him, then he says, roll over on the ground now.
West of the traffic.
He's not gonna hit you.
Roll over on your stomach now.
Okay.
On your stomach.
If you'll let me roll, I will, dude. What the hell? Holy.
But the kid can't move, you can see. And look, he's got control of both of the kid's arms. He gets on top of the kid, and there's no way for the kid to comply any more than he's complying. And the officer, again, the size difference, he puts all of his weight right down on this kid's neck and head.
Get away from your car.
Get back now.
Holy
Is it any wonder that his brothers are upset and trying to film? Was it necessary for him to rest his weight on this kid's neck and head like that? No. In fact, as I read, he didn't even mention that part in his report. But thanks to the little brothers, we can see that it happened.
Let him do his job.
Step back.
Hey, chillax, man.
Hey, back up. Get on the sidewalk. Get on the sidewalk.
All of you back up, please. Get on the sidewalk.
This guy's pointing a laser at me,
Get on the sidewalk
or a taser for no reason at all.
to get out of his way.
They're detaining my brother for no reason.
Sampson was taken into custody, placed in handcuffs that I checked for proper fit and double locked. He was cleared at the hospital and booked into the Ada County Jail on the violation of Idaho Code resisting and obstructing. After the arrest was made, Officer Chambers had a conversation with his sergeant explaining to him what had just occurred. Listen to what he says.
Okay. So.
253. That's his badge number, by the way.
Tell him no. Staying here. This gentleman here as well is obstructing. He's about ready to go to juvenile hall if you don't get back. Both do not want me to take the bike or even look the bike. They start to load up. Strap it down. So move back. Move back. Move back again. This gentleman as well. So I said you're gonna move. You test that. Sounds good.
One thing he says is they were trying to take the dirt bike away. I didn't see that in the video, did you? He also says that both of the kids did not want me to take the bike or even look at the bike. Is that true? No. The video shows otherwise. They told him to examine it, to take pictures of it. He chose not to.
You need pictures of it? That's not a problem. You need pictures of it? You can stand up and take pictures here.
He said they started to load it back up and strap it down. The video didn't show that. He said, move back, and move back again. So I went up and said, you're going to move. That didn't happen also. But he did say that Sampson tensed up and then we went full on. Well, the video shows that he went full on, not Sampson, Officer Chambers. What was the sergeant's response to this? Sergeant Albers with the Meridian Police Department. Now, this guy is a high-quality public servant, high-quality supervisor. He just says, sounds good.
Sounds good.
The main problem that I see here is when the officer first walked up, he says he was investigating, but he didn't ask for anyone's identification. He actually told the kids that they were not being detained. And if you're not being detained, what are you allowed to do? You're free to leave. Then after the fact, he says he had to seize Sampson because he was trying to take the dirt bike, which he wasn't. They were in the process of trying to fix the oil leak. They weren't even trying to drive away at that point. I mean, just the video itself shows that everything he said happened that was alleged obstruction didn't even occur. The main issue here is the violent use of force that he engaged in to seize and arrest Sampson. Even where a police officer is allowed to physically seize somebody, they have to do it in a reasonable way. And if they use an unnecessary amount of force, that is a Fourth Amendment violation. That is excessive force. The U.S. Supreme Court, in a case called Graham versus Connor, laid out 3 elements that we are to look at to analyze using the totality of the circumstances. Every case is different based on the facts, whether or not an excessive amount of force was used in this case. The first factor is the severity of the crime at issue. Sampson is the one who had force used on him. He wasn't suspected of having committed any crime at all. That factor very easily goes in favor of Sampson. The second factor, which is the most important, is whether or not the suspect poses an immediate safety threat. That one also, in my opinion, goes to Sampson. He hadn't made any verbal threats to the officer, didn't make any physical threats to the officer. At most, he was engaging in passive resistance when the much larger officer came up and just suddenly grabbed him and then tried to headplant him into the concrete. The only individual posing an immediate safety threat was the officer against Sampson. The video shows that Sampson never attempted to harm the officer or strike the officer in any way. The third gram factor is whether the suspect is evading or attempting to resist arrest. The officer is saying, stop resisting, but that's all theatrics. That's what cops are taught to say right before they get violent with somebody. The purpose of that is so that nearby witnesses will remember, yeah, the officer said, stop resisting, and the kid was resisting. At most, the only resistance that was occurring was passive resistance. They were actually working on the dirt bike at this time, and there was no attempt to evade the officer in any way. There are many, many court cases out there to stand for the fact that just mere passive resistance in an obstruction type investigation does not justify violent uses of force, such as trying to slam somebody headfirst into the asphalt. In my opinion, this is a clear case of excessive force and perhaps also a false arrest, though the criminal charge is still pending. And so if you're going to sue over a false arrest, which just means a warrantless arrest in the absence of probable cause, you have to first beat the criminal charges, because if you get convicted of it, that is going to get honored in federal court due to something called the Heck Doctrine, and you're going to lose. Now, if you beat the criminal charges, you still have to prove the total absence of any probable cause, and in that you have to go through the state issue of whether or not the conduct that occurred, can meet the state law definition of obstruction or resisting. So usually it's best just to wait, see if he beats the criminal charges first, and then go through the weeds of whether or not there was probable cause under Idaho law. But the excessive force case here, in my opinion, is a slam dunk. It's a piece of cake. And that brings us to the update since Saturday's doomed upload to YouTube. So my YouTube video made the Channel 2 Idaho News.
This afternoon, the city of Meridian investigating a use of force incident involving a Meridian police officer.
Now, here's some of the video posted to YouTube of the arrest of 22-year-old Sampson Allen.
And that news report announced that there was going to be an official investigation, and also that apparently this officer has already left. Now, they said that he left in early September.
The city says he's already voluntarily left the department.
This departure happening earlier this summer or earlier this month, while the announcement this afternoon taking place after video was released of the arrest earlier this summer.
Since the video was uploaded on Saturday, not in early September, the implication is that he left before this video was even released. According to their written article, a spokesperson for the Meridian Police Department sent CBS 2 the following information about the incident. The Chief of Police has asked our Office of Professional Standards to conduct a thorough review of the incident from start to finish, including the use of force review, which was initially conducted on this incident to ensure the law and our expectations were met. This will take some time, and given that this is an active pending case, we are mindful of what can be released to protect the integrity of the investigation. I can share that Officer Chambers voluntarily left the department for another opportunity in early September. And when the complete review is finished, we will provide additional information. And that same basic statement was also provided by the city to several of you who emailed them following Saturday's video release. So this is yet another example of something that happened like a few months past, and supposedly supervisors, etc., had already reviewed it. The courts had looked at it, and nobody had a problem with it. Then people just saw the egregious footage and were outraged by it, and now there is an actual thorough investigation or a re-investigation on what actually happened, and the officer's gone. But as I said, there's more to be done, because this department actually has a history, and I'm running out of time here, I think, so that might be for a different video. But there was a bad cop there before, same police department. Everything was cool until the footage was released. All of a sudden, there's problems. The guy ends up leaving in disgrace, but perhaps then popping up somewhere else, or having the ability to pop up somewhere else. And this is the same department. So now where did Officer Chambers go, or where will he pop up next? If these departments, if these agencies don't follow through, then he's going to pop up somewhere else. And if you don't stay on top of them and watch what they're doing, they're not going to take appropriate actions. But we can wait and see. So please subscribe, both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com, and help me stay on top of this as well. You can also follow me on Twitter at JohnBryanESQ. Let me know in a comment your reaction to this footage. Did it outrage you, or do you not care? If you don't care, tell me why. Our rights don't end where your fear begins. Freedom is scary. Deal with it.